A cop in Grosse Pointe Park, Michigan is being investigated after he took a mentally ill black man, put him on film, and made him sing and make animal noises. Members of the community saw the film and they were obviously very upset about it. And because of the fact that they were outspoken, the cop has been placed on leave and he is being investigated. But this just kind of goes to show you that there are some instances where cops will abuse their power. This is obviously a very extreme case of that. So the man identified in the video is Michael Scipio. Hopefully I pronounced his name correctly. There he is talking to the press.
Offended by it?
You say who now?
Are you offended by it? I mean, did you feel?
Yeah, I was offended by it. That's
Yeah.
Now, there are residents right here in Grosse Pointe that say the police take great care of him, that they look out for him.
You know what?
That what they did was just having fun with
Anybody can say
him.
what they say and giving great reports or whatever, because they know what's going down now.
So I thought that was a really interesting question by the reporter. I'm not exactly sure who the reporter was, but it's this mentality of, well, the police department is out there looking out for you, taking care of you, keeping you safe. And I think generally speaking that's true, but that's not to say that some will take their power and abuse it. And in this case, whoever this police officer was, not only did he abuse his power, not only does he lack judgment, but he obviously doesn't have respect for certain members of the community.
I think that reporter was Mark Levin. Anyway, I mean, who would ask that kind of, what do you say about that? The reason we're here is because they're not doing that in this case. What kind of a stupid question was that?
Right.
That's why we're not here because they were taking care of us. We're here because they weren't, and they were falling down on the job, and we have video evidence of that. That's why we're here. What kind of a stupid question was that? You know who else I would like to know is who else was in that video? Like, who was standing next to him? Do you know who any of those people were in that video?
They were just community members that were outraged when they saw the video.
Okay.
So, and if it wasn't for them, by the way, I don't think that the cop would ever get investigated. So
Sure.
I'm really glad that they spoke up for this guy and they're doing what they can to help him out. I mean, how disgusting is that? That as a cop, you go out of your way to humiliate someone who is mentally ill.
That's about as low as it gets, man. That's, wow.
Yeah, I mean, I barely know how to like emotionally react to this because it is so disgusting to me because he is mentally ill. And I have to read the subtext into this. I think that it would have been disgusting regardless as to the race of this person. Let me be clear about that. But the fact that it is a black man and you're making him sing and make animal noises, I would be remiss not to say, is this reading into this underlying presumption that that is the role of black people in this country historically, to entertain, to put on show? And some people do believe that. So to Anna's point, this disgusting disrespect for this individual, whether it's racially based, whether it's because of his mental condition, absolutely sickens me.
It also goes to show how damaged and sad the cop is. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? We don't know anything. We don't even know his name at this point. But when I grew up, there was a guy that used to stand like a couple blocks away on a corner of the main road, and we called him Bicycle Bob. And he was this guy always on a bike, and he obviously had mental problems. But when I was a kid, we all used to make fun of him because if you pointed at him, he'd point at you and do weird things and make weird faces. And I remember seeing him a couple of years ago when I was an adult and how bad I felt that I used to do that. And there he was, still doing the same things. So the fact that we have someone employed as a police officer who's doing that still it's beyond.
And putting it on social media, like that's what's crazy.
I know, the incredible thing about criminals and people who lack judgment is usually they want to document it and put it up online.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because they think it's going to make them a celebrity. I don't know if it's because they think the video is going to go viral, but it's really pathetic, and I'm actually really happy that they do it, because at least you can catch them.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, not only are they hateful enough to do what this guy did, but they're dumb enough to post it online, which shows you that they shouldn't be employed by anyone.
You know, it's kind of an epidemic, I think, or it's a systemic problem in the United States today, at least, with police, because I don't think they're trained on how to deal with mental illness or people who are mentally ill. We often hear in the press about how about that guy in Orange County who the cops killed him, right? It was a bogus call and they showed up and they ended up killing him, which happens a lot with people who are mentally ill. The police seem to just, it's that you will respect my authority and I'm going to escalate this instead of de-escalating, right?
Yeah.
You show up, there's a mentally ill person and you end up killing him. That's bad police work. That's that's bad. You're not that. You're doing the opposite of what you're supposed. You're supposed to somehow find a way to diffuse the situation and protect the mentally ill person, not kill them.
But that's just like you're saying, the culture of a lot of our police forces: shoot first, ask questions later.
Yes.
And it's fatal, and it's so terrible. I mean, just we lose so many people year after year, whether it's mentally ill or young people. I mean, again, communities of color, minority communities, where you're not understanding the culture, so therefore you're taking acts that you can't come back from. Can't bring these kids back to life.
Yeah,
It's
and
just
yet every
sad.
time we do one of these stories, it's always caught because of a police dashboard camera or something.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like they know they're being caught, and then they're still doing it, and then they usually get off too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, a
the
lot of
other
times
part.
they
They
do.
usually get off. Which is,
They usually do get off, but I always find it really fascinating when cops try to pass legislation banning people from filming them in public. When, keep in mind, it's our taxpayer money that's funding their salaries, and at the same time, as a public servant in a public place with no reasonable expectation of privacy, we should be able to film them, especially if we feel like they're doing something that's shady.
And we can make an argument that that protects them too. Like,
Yeah.
let's,
Yeah.
you know, it works
Yeah.
both ways. If I was an officer, I'd want there to be cameras so that, you know, somebody could not, you know, then say I did something I didn't do. It works both ways.
But remember that story? Sorry, remember that story we did about the dog that was shot by the
Right.
officers? I
Remember
think that
that.
was here in California,
It was
right?
in California,
and it
yeah.
and it escalated because they were angry that he was videoed, or that the person
Yep.
behind him
Had the phone.
had the phone. So even that, you're right. It does work both ways. If everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing, then no one gets in trouble.
Absolutely. Look, if we're in a public place and we have no reasonable expectation of privacy, neither should
should
they.